This is the trophy that we've been talking about as you are watching the score to give us highlights of how events unfolded. Of course, very exciting scenes there indeed. Manchester United getting the better of City, but in the studio you can see the glittering trophy, a winner race 2. This is the trophy that our guest in studio won. We are talking about, Formula, we are talking about motor racing, and Formula One is a sport that many here in Kenya love, and many always look forward to, Formula One weekends. We talk about the big names in Formula One. We are talking about the Michael Schumachers of this world, Lewis Hamilton. At the moment, the biggest name that everyone is talking about from a Formula One point. We are talking about Lando Norris, the champion, Oscar Piastri. We are talking about Max Verstappen. We have rookies who came in very, very strong indeed in the Formula One sessions that we saw. Kimi Antonelli, Aja coming in very, very strong. But we are talking about this sport, and Kenya seems to be coming up into the map. We have the Formula 4 champion, the youngest ever Formula 4 champion. We are talking about, a young man who's made headlines and who's made it to the top. And we can't just, stop celebrating and talking about the good work that he's doing. The sky is not the limit for this young man, but the sky is the stepping stone to greater heights. We're talking about Shane Chandaria with us in studio this afternoon. He is the youngest Formula 4 champion with us in studio. Very, very young, growing career, and of course, it looks like it's happening. Sean Chandaria, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you.
First and foremost, welcome to KBC, and of course, congratulations for the great work that you're doing, and of course, being the youngest ever Formula 4 champion. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Most welcome. Let's start. How did it all this start in the beginning?
It started when I actually went to the local track here in Nairobi, the one in Splash, when I was 6 years old for my friend's birthday party. And I just loved it so much. I made my dad take me every weekend to go-karting. And eventually, I asked him the question, can I get my own go-kart? So my dad, he was not too sure, but he eventually agreed to, when I hit the certain lap time around the track, he'll get me the go-kart. So eventually I hit that time, and he kept his promise. And from there I started racing in the Kenya National Karting Championships in 2021 and 2022. We won that. And then I raced in UK in go-karts in UK and Europe. And last year moved up to F4, and it was a very successful season.
Well, it's very interesting to just talk about this. And you started off as a very young boy, growing up, but you started liking the sport. Who's been your role model?
I'd say my role model's been Michael Schumacher in terms of a racing perspective, and nowadays Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Might be controversial, but it's okay.
Not controversial, why? Max Verstappen, many look at him as a bully, but he is who he is.
Yeah,
a very good drive on the road.
Yeah, amazing driver. And I think as well, it's just from a racing driver point of view, it's like the way he drives without making mistakes, it's very inspiring to watch.
And, looking at, the kind of racing that goes out there, last season was very, very good for you. And I was just looking at some of the videos, the national anthem being played and sung in your favor. In your honor, how was it like when just hearing the national anthem and you being, at the podium and the top of, the championship?
It obviously felt very good. It was a sense of national pride, I'd say. I was very proud. I wouldn't want any other national anthem or flag behind me. I think Kenya, we're a very strong country, and we're definitely going to take this flag to the top in Formula One.
Well, Formula One is, a growing sport. It starts with go-karting, and you started off in 2016, and they say the rest is history, or history in the making. We'll be talking about, or very quickly before we go into a break, did you ever believe that you'd be a champion at any time, even before we go up, from 2016?
At 2016, it was is a tricky one, but I always had that belief that I would win.
You always had the belief. Well, we are going into a short commercial break. When we come back, we now want to go straight into how was it like the season for him, the choice of tires, pole position, how is it like setting the fastest lap, and what goes into his mind when he is in pole position. Is lap 1 the critical lap? Is it the first corner the critical point to be at? We'll talk about much more when we come back after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Remember, in studio, we have with us the youngest ever Formula 4 champion. He's here with us in studio. Very, very many first, the first ever, youngest ever race winner. We are talking about 3 wins, 8 podiums, 1 drive of the day, 7 pole positions. Very, very impressive record indeed. Shane, we are talking about you starting off in 2016. But 2021, 2018, for the first time you took part in go-karting championships. In 2021, 2022, you were the Kenya national champion. And of course, in 2021, you won all the races. Briefly describe how 2021, 2022, maybe and 2020, before you moved to the UK, built your confidence into going into go-karting and your love for motorsport.
Yeah, 2021 was a really great year. We won every race in the championship, but it was my first time being in the national championship, so I couldn't score points because in the championship rookies are not allowed to compete for the title. So I was the Rookie of the Year winner, but it was a great feeling to know like I could have won that championship, or and I won every race, because it motivated me to just push harder and like work harder, because obviously it's a great feeling of winning, but also it just made me love the sport more, like the challenges and the ups and the downs. It all made me like love the sport more. And 2022, when I won the championship, that was a big boost in confidence, because it showed me I can do it in Kenya. So then I thought, why can't I do it anywhere else in the world?
And I mean, why can't I do it? And in 2023, which was the following year, you moved to the UK. And from that moment, it looked like, it's all history in the making, because the UK, trip into the Academy Trophy and so much more, that was now the building stone into, your career.
Yeah. I think those years where I raced in go-karts in the UK were definitely tricky years. Every race I had to learn something new, and it was always very competitive, so you had to be on your A game all the time. But it made me learn so much about myself and so much about racing, and it just, like, even through the hard bits, it wasn't even a question if I wanted to continue. Like, I knew like this was my life, and this is what I have to keep on going for. So I think those years in the UK really helped me, and I think it's the reason that I was able to go to India and win the championship.
And I know many would be wondering, what's the difference between Formula 1 and Formula 4? Because in Formula 1, many are used to, hearing things like there is DRS, the drag reduction system, you have team strategies via, radio communication. There's so much that's happening, DRS, you have the pit stops, box moments. What's the difference, or are also those in Formula 4?
Yeah, so in Formula 4, it's basically an F1 car stripped down to basically the bare minimum, and obviously less power and stuff, because it's meant for drivers who are sitting in a single-seater for the first time and who want to get up through the ladder of F3, F2, and eventually F1. So it's a basic car, and it really helps show the driver's skill rather than like the team's skill or the team's car, because everyone's running effectively on the same car model. So it really helps showing like which drivers are good and where the drivers are good. But yeah, we don't get to do pit stops. There's a wet compound for when it's raining, and then there's a dry compound for when the track is dry. And you can only do a pit stop if it starts raining halfway through the race. But even then, normally they just red flag the race. And you can have the radio system in F4 to communicate with your team, but normally there's less to talk about on the radio because there's not much strategy. It's normally like some advice on how you can improve your racing line through one corner. And even then, some championships, like the Indian Championship, don't allow the radio system. But when you get to F3, then a radio system, DRS, and controls, like there are more controls on your steering wheel, there's more to do. So basically, the higher you get, the more complicated it gets.
Well, interesting, because from Formula 4, you now go to 3, 2, then eventually into 1. But let's look at, you now seated in the car, Formula 4 car, ready to start off, the qualifying moments. What is critical in a weekend, in a weekend race? Is it the qualifying that's critical, that sets you up for success in the main race? Or are there cases where you might struggle in qualifying, but still get it right in the main race?
Yeah. Obviously, the most important thing to get right is the race. And what qualifying does is it makes it easier to do well in the race. So qualifying is very important because it's really hard to overtake in a Formula car around basically any circuit. So the higher up you start, the easier it will be to battle for that win. But I think the race actually starts from the moment you reach the track on the Thursday, because you need to be sure that your hydration, your fitness levels, your food, your diet is all up to par, and then you need to be able to know the track really well, the setup, and you need every practice session, you need to be learning something or like trying to get ahead, because the more you can learn from these sessions, the easier it will be for you in the race. And then the race is basically the ultimate test of who's learned the most, who's the best prepared, and who wants it the most.
So how do you, run through your paces in the, practice sessions? You also have practice 1, 2, and 3, or it's lesser?
No, we have more practice.
Oh, okay.
So there's normally 2 days of practice, or a day and a half of practice, in which we get between 5 and 7 to 8 sessions of practice. And in those, you have a plan with your coach, and you have a mental plan of what you want to try, what you want to change, what you want to try on like the setup of the car, for example, because that can make a big difference on like how the car feels through a corner. And you want to do like a qualifying practice. Maybe if you put on a new set of tires, you can go out and do like a qualifying simulation, what we call, where you do exactly how you do in qualifying, just see where you're at, and then you can do a long run where you're practicing how you manage the tires for a race. So there's a lot that you test in the practice, and also you test a lot on the simulator at home. So when you go into a practice session, you already have an idea of what you need to improve on or what you need to be working on.
And for those, we've seen a lot of, our young generation, the young boys, young girls out. Anytime you go into this, playstations, they're always on Formula 1 cars. Can that give somebody an impression, or can that give somebody the psych to getting eventually into a real car,
yeah,
and performing better? Or did you also get an opportunity to try all this?
Yeah, definitely. I think mostly every racing driver nowadays uses the simulator on the racing games, because they've gotten quite realistic, so they help you like train for the track and learn how to race against people. And yeah, there have been cases of people who've gone from a simulator at home and on a video game to racing and even winning in real life. Like there was the movie Gran Turismo, which was based basically on that entire subject.
And as we look at this, now let's talk about the race. Are there moments when you've maybe come from position 2 in the front row and still manage to beat whoever is in pole position?
Yeah. You're not always going to get pole position, so it's important to be able to race from anywhere on the grid. And it might not happen in the first corner or in the first lap, but you just have to keep on chipping away at it, and then eventually you'll be able to get that position. It's all the racing is about is keeping your mind and knowing when to go for that move and when to make your aggression.
And as we look into this, let's now look at the real, race. It's race time. You've done your, you've done your formation lap, and you are in pole position, which means it's all clear.
Yeah.
Fresh air, clear air, everything. What's your target? To get to the first corner still leading, or to finish lap one still, leading the race?
The goal is to finish lap one leading the race, but the best time to secure that lap is turn one, because the turn one is when everyone knows it's the easiest to make your positions, it's the easiest to battle, so that's why you often see crashes at turn one. So yeah, as a driver, it's a lot of pressure starting from the front, because you need a good start and you need to make sure that you have yourself covered and you're able to fight for the rest of the race. But yeah, it's really definitely nerve-wracking to start from the front.
Are there moments when you're panicking or you're so nervous, you're just waiting for the light, light out, and what goes through your mind then? Is it just all focus, or are you thinking of who is in, front row with you, or you forget about every other thing and now focus on you and turn one?
Yeah, when you start like the formation lap, you're thinking about everything. You go through all the possibilities. Your mind is racing. But when you stop on that grid, it's the main thing to get a good start is you just need to be able to like look at the lights and just forget about everything else and just focus on your one task at hand, which is getting the good start. So just take a deep breath and just let it go. So clear your mind and go.
During practice sessions, do you get an opportunity, or do you get moments when you just go and practice on your start?
We have one practice session. One practice start every race. So you get one practice start and then you have to go into the races.
Are there moments when you really want to fire up the car, but the tires are not well warmed up, which lets you down and can be so frustrating?
Yeah, tire warming is critical, because if you push too hard, or if you get like too much wheel spin or lock up your tires when the tires are cold, you'll damage them completely, and then you'll find you're like a second off the pace for no reason. But if you warm the tires well on the formation lap, like often in F1 you might see them weaving on the formation lap. That's to generate the tire temperature inside the tire. And when you get a good tire temperature, you can feel it, because the tire suddenly becomes it's able to push more through a corner, and you can feel like the grip is there. There's a feeling you get when you have cold tires. It like slides on the surface, but when it's warm, you can like stick and it'll turn.
Do we have safety car moments in Formula 4?
Yeah, safety cars are quite often in Formula 4. There's a lot of crashing, because it's quite a short race. It's only 30 minutes, and everyone kind of just is pushing and trying to get ahead. So there are a lot of safety cars, and the safety car restarts are probably even harder to get right, because you just need to know, you need to go at the right place, and you need to make sure the person behind you is like caught off guard, because you can see sometimes you're a second ahead by the turn one, or sometimes you're going side by side into turn one. So it's really depends on how the guys behind you react if you're in the front of a safety car.
But what goes through your mind if you are the one, at the front and the safety car, lap is ending, safety car is back in, so it's you to decide when to attack?
You just need to know when to go. Like you need to be thinking, because the safety car is out for a few laps, so you get to see on the track where's a good point. Like you want a position where you can go really easily and you can go just fast, and the person behind you, it really struggles, and it's really difficult to find because you're like this. So the point, you have to go at the perfect point, otherwise you've missed it. So you just need to know when to go. And some corners in some tracks, the way the layout is, it makes it even harder for you. You got to be really unpredictable, and just kind of trust your instinct and make the guy behind you second guess himself.
Wow. Would you prefer to to restart in a flat or stretch, or just next to a bend, or it depends with the track?
It depends on the track. I think next to a bend is always easier, because it's easier to catch the person behind off guard. But there's some cases where going on the straight can actually make them confused, and you can get a better start. So you got to just be, as I said, unpredictable.
Wow. Let's talk about the safety aspect of it. And I can see you have your safety, your head helmet with you. And when one looks at it like this, one would ask, are you able to clearly see?
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's tinted.
Yeah, it's a tinted visor, but it's really good for like keeping the sun out of your face, because it can get really annoying, especially if you're driving at like sunset or sunrise. But you can see really clearly out of them. And in rain condition, you get a clear visor in case you need more vision. And then, yeah, it's a very, very safe piece of kit, the helmet. It's been developed over the past 100 years since Formula One started. And
the breathing, I can see some vents.
Yeah, the breathing's quite easy when you're driving because the wind's pushing into the vents. And also over here we have the safety harnesses. So you clip in what's called a hands device, which stops your head from going too far in front. If you have a crash, your neck will hyperextend. So this thing basically straps you into the car, so you can only go forward a certain amount, and that saved hundreds of people from dying. So it's a really lightweight thing, but it can withstand really significant impacts. And yeah,
we've seen cases where after every race, there's always that moment where a driver has to go to the weighing scale. What is it all about?
It's to keep everything fair, because there's a minimum weight for the car and the driver. So obviously everyone's not the same weight. So they measure you at the start of the weekend, and then they measure you at the end. And what happens is, if they don't keep on measuring you constantly, you can have like some people might have a piece of lead in their pocket to make them heavier on the weighing, so then they can run less fuel in the car, so they'll be faster because they're lighter. But the weighing is just to make sure that you're not losing a lot of weight unsuspiciously, and you're also basically it's to make sure that you're not cheating.
Exactly, because it must be fair.
Yeah.
But talking about fairness and talking about your performance, because your performance seems to be speaking for itself, and as a result of the same, recognition across. Let's talk about June 2025, when you are picked up. You were chosen because it has to be a scenario. You don't just go. You must be chosen as the youngest into the global, global short, bracket. How was it like for you just being chosen as the youngest, point? It must have been very, very good for you.
Yeah. The day I got the email that I was accepted to the global shootout program, it was a really happy day, because I'd never been in an F4 car at that point, so I was really excited. And also being the youngest, it was like, I need to show that I'm able to do it. And yeah, from then on, the workload, in terms of gym and then training on the simulator and all that has really gone up. So that was a really exciting moment and a really cool way to get into the Formula 4 scene.
Wow. And since then, moving to India, and from the word go, you could tell that you're going to make it. But let's now talk about another aspect of this sport that, and here is where we will call upon the public, those who are watching, those who are able to just come up and be part of Shane Chandaria's team. How expensive is the sport? It must be very expensive, because up next for you is heading to France, and all this, is a bit heavy.
Yeah, it's insanely expensive, and each year it just gets worse. The higher you climb up, the more money you're going to have to pay. Drivers you'll see racing in Formula One today, most of them have paid their way up until Formula One, because there's really no way to get there otherwise, because there's such a high demand in the sport that they don't need to pick up drivers really. But we need an African driver in F1, and I think I'm definitely looking for partners who can help me get there and take this Kenyan flag there, because it's been a long time coming that we need to have a Kenyan driver at the front of motorsport. So I'd really appreciate anything from partners, and yeah.
And if anyone was to get in touch with you guys in terms of coming up to support, how would they reach you?
In terms of, I have my email address, which is shanechandaria@gmail.com, no capitals, no spaces. And then my Instagram handle, which is shanechandaria56, again, no capitals, no spaces. And yeah, you can just send me a message, and I'll be sure to get back to you, and really excited and looking forward to it.
This is that moment that we rally behind our very own because getting to the top really needs our key stakeholders to come through. We are talking about Shane Chandaria, our youngest Formula 4 champion. And remember, from Formula 4, one graduates to Formula 3, Formula 2. Then after Formula 2, you'll be talking about Formula 1, where we have all the big names. Role model has been Michael Schumacher. Of late, it is Sebastian Vettel, and of course, one Max Verstappen. Very, very good drivers in Formula 1. He's mentioned Shane Chandaria at gmail.com, no capital.
No capitals.
Then Shane Chandaria 56 on Instagram. Let's come out. This is that moment that we pull as Kenyans, to support our very own, any corporate, any potential sponsor. Shane Chandaria at gmail.com, Shane Chandaria 56 on Instagram. Get in touch and let's have Shane get to his dream. Lupita Nyong'o says every dream is valid. Shane, what next for you, because you're heading to France?
This year we're going to do the French F4. It's a big championship. It's very famous and very competitive. It's one of the main Formula 4 championships around the world. We've seen drivers like Isaac Hadjar, who's graduated from it most recently. And yeah, really looking forward to it. I'll be racing at ex and current Formula 1 tracks like Spa in Belgium and Circuit Magny-Cours in France, and it's really looking forward to it. Just starting training probably end of Feb, and racing will start from April.
We are looking at a season that we can only pray and wish you all the best as you head to France, because that's one championship that brings out the best. Let's deviate a bit and look at the rookies that were in Formula 1 this season. Who impressed you the most?
Isaac Hadjar, for sure. He was not in the best team. He was in a good team, I'd say, but he was able to extract a lot from the car, and he was up against his teammate. You could see he was fighting and he was learning really quick, and I think he really deserved that Red Bull seat, in my opinion.
Kimi Antonelli started off well, but mid-season?
I think, yeah, Kimi started off well, and I think at the end he definitely stepped up his game. Like he was definitely learning, but I think he had a bit in the mid-season where, obviously he's learning and made a few mistakes, but it was to be expected, I think, from any rookie.
And an interesting championship that is decided on the final day.
Yeah, that was a crazy race. I mean, Max going from 102 points or whatever back to just 2 points is phenomenal. And Lando obviously did really well as well, and Piastri as well.
Wow. Do you think the team tactics carried the day? Because we've seen cases where you just see team tactics coming to play, and maybe Max a lone ranger. Some would, there are those who would argue, but still gave a very good fight for himself. A very, very good driver indeed.
Yeah, I think team tactics definitely do play a big role. But I think this year, because McLaren had both their drivers fighting at the front, it was a tricky situation for them. And personally, I think they handled it pretty fairly. And yeah, I think it was really important, really interesting to see how the two teams were kind of fighting against each other, but both of them were somehow getting it right quite often. And yeah, it was a really interesting championship.
And to talk about the two drivers, there were never moments where, they went elbows out on each other. They were always taking it very, very fair and just having sweet moments on the track.
Yeah, they were fair, but they were hard racing. Each of them wanted it as much as the other, I think. And it's unfortunate what happened to Piastri at the end of the season. I don't know what, but you could see, like, even in the moments where Lando looked like he was on the back foot, he put in that work to go forward, and it's just really what the sport is about, to see who can extract the most from the car and who can learn the best and improve the best to eventually come out on top.
Interesting there indeed. Shane, how stressful or how painful can it be when you're on somebody's gearbox and you can't overtake them? Patience is key.
Yeah, patience is key, but that's got to be one of the most annoying feelings in the world, because sometimes you just can't get past, especially if it's a good driver and they're defending well. You just can't make that move. But it's all about keeping yourself calm and collected. That's the moments that decide the championship. So it's really critical to be calm, and the moment that someone makes a mistake, you have to be there to pick up the scraps.
And as you talk about mistakes, has there been any time in your season, maybe during this championship, that maybe penalties affected your game plan in a race?
Yeah, I got 2 penalties in the season, 2 grid penalties. I would argue one of them was a bit unfair, but that's not an argument for now. And the other one was deserved. But yeah, it's just part of racing. You're going to get a penalty at some point. It's not always intentional, but if you made contact, you made contact. You just have to be able to fight back from it. And yeah, I mean, those grid penalties definitely, I think, hurt my chances of another few race wins. But what I found from those is I made the most of those races, and I tried to put myself in the best position possible for them. And winning a race car championship is not about, it's going to be really difficult to win every race. So you just got to be able to maximize every race. If I'm starting in last, I can't expect, as in I'm going to try and push to win. But if you got to be able to get the most out of the car. So if the most is P3 and you get P3, then if you keep on doing that, you'll be sure to win the championship.
Well, interesting indeed, because there are those moments when, as a driver, you'd think that was a racing incident, but the stewards would look at it differently, and penalties would come your way. Shane, as we start winding up this discussion, where do you see yourself in the next maybe 5 years to come?
In the next 5 years, I see myself in F1 or F2. I think that's, yeah. If I'm in F1 by 5 years, I'll be very happy.
Well, sky is not the limit. Sky is the stepping stone to greater heights, and you've already, shown what it takes, and looking forward, because it looks like you're seeing beyond the bends already. What would your final, shot be for Kenyans who are, looking at you now, watching you, and just like, wow, when we grow up, we'd be like, Shane, what would your message be?
I'd say don't give up on your dreams, and continue working at them through the hard times and hard moments. And I'd also like to say thank you so much for the support that I've gotten, especially in the recent times. It's been wonderful to see the support that Kenyans give, and it's making me proud of being a Kenyan. And yeah, thank you, and I appreciate the support. Yeah.
Your target as you go to France? Podiums?
Win it. Win France.
Win it.
Yep.
You have what it takes.
Yeah.
Go for it. Shane, Chandaria, thank you very much. Wishing you all the best. You have what it takes. Remember, Shane, the youngest driver at 15 years to win. He's just won, the Indian Formula 4 Indian Championships, which is an Indian racing festival. He is the youngest ever race winner. Pole setter with 3 wins, 8 podiums, 1 driver of the day, not forgetting 7 pole positions. 7 pole positions means that during qualifying, he was the best in terms of timings, and he got to start the races in position 1. Very, very good, impressive, performance indeed. And as he heads to France, we can only wish him the best. And we'll be keeping track, on his performance, and we'll let you know what to come. Shane, thank you very much for making time. We wish you all the best.